You were just a kid, but somehow you were the one managing the mood in the house. You learned to read the room before you learned to read a book. You knew exactly when to go quiet, when to disappear, when to say the right thing to keep the peace. And the strangest part, you thought that was just normal. It wasn't. And what I'm about to share with you might be the most important thing you hear this year. Picture this. You're 8 years old. Your parent comes home from work. You immediately scan their face. Are they okay? Are they angry? Do I need to be invisible right now? You didn't learn this from a book. Nobody taught you. You just adapted. Because in your home, the emotional temperature was set by the adult. And it was your job as the child to adjust to it, not the other way around. That's not a small thing. That's the entire dynamic flipped upside down. And if you grew up in that environment, the effects are still living inside you right now, in the way you handle conflict, in the way you love people, in the way you treat yourself. So what exactly is emotional immaturity in a parent? It doesn't mean they were monsters. It doesn't mean they didn't love you. Emotionally immature parents are adults who never fully develop the inner tools to regulate their own emotions, take responsibility for their actions, and truly see their children as separate human beings with separate needs. They can hold a job, they can pay the bills, they can show up to your school play, but emotionally, they're stuck, often at the age they themselves were wounded. And children of emotionally immature parents grow up carrying a very specific kind of invisible weight. Sign 1. They made their emotions your responsibility. When they were upset, you felt responsible for fixing it. When they were happy, you felt relieved, like you had passed a test you didn't sign up for. Their emotional state was the weather, and you were constantly checking the forecast. This is called emotional parentification, and it rewires a child's nervous system to be permanently on alert, scanning for other people's moods before attending to their own. If you still do this as an adult, if you walk into a room and immediately start reading everyone's energy, this is why. Sign 2. They couldn't apologize. Not genuinely, not fully. Maybe they said, "I'm sorry you felt that way." Or they moved on like nothing happened and expected you to do the same. Or they turned their apology into a reason to talk about themselves. Emotionally immature people cannot tolerate the discomfort of being wrong, because deep down, being wrong feels like being worthless. So they avoid it, at the cost of your sense of reality. If you grew up never hearing a real apology, you either learned to never expect one, or you became someone who over-apologizes for everything, just to keep the peace. Sign 3. They were emotionally unpredictable. Some days, warm and loving. Other days, cold and distant, with no explanation. And as a child, you couldn't understand why. So you did what children always do. You assumed it was about you. You started believing that love was something you had to earn, that connection was unstable, that people you love will eventually pull away without warning. That belief doesn't stay in childhood. It follows you into every relationship you try to build as an adult. Sign 4. They dismissed your feelings. You're too sensitive. Stop crying, there's nothing to cry about. Other kids have it way worse. When your emotional reality was consistently denied, you learned a devastating lesson, that your inner world is not valid. So you stopped showing it. You became the strong one, the calm one, the one who handles everything alone. And now, as an adult, you might struggle to even identify what you're feeling, because for years, feeling things was unsafe. Sign 5. They made everything about themselves. You came home excited about something, and the conversation became about them. You were going through something hard, and somehow they were the one who needed comfort. Your achievements, your pain, your milestones, all filtered through the lens of how it affected them. They weren't trying to erase you, they simply didn't have the capacity to hold space for someone else's experience. But the impact on you was the same. You grew up feeling invisible, like your inner life didn't quite matter. Sign 6. They used guilt as a tool. After everything I've done for you, you don't know how much I sacrificed. I gave up so much for this family. Guilt was the currency of connection, and you learned that receiving love came with a bill, that closeness had a price, that asking for your own needs meant taking something away from them. Many adults who grew up this way find it almost physically painful to ask for help, to set boundaries, or to put themselves first, because somewhere deep inside, they still believe that their needs are a burden. Sign 7. They couldn't handle your separateness. When you started forming your own opinions, your own identity, your own life, It threatened them, not because they were evil, but because they unconsciously needed you to remain an extension of themselves. Your boundaries felt like rejection. Your independence felt like abandonment. Your growth made them uncomfortable. And so, without realizing it, you may have spent years shrinking yourself, staying small, staying close, staying safe, to protect a parent who should have been protecting you. Here's what nobody tells you about emotionally immature parents. They were almost certainly raised the same way. They didn't choose this. They didn't wake up and decide to be emotionally unavailable. They're simply living out the patterns that were handed to them by their own parents who received them from theirs. This doesn't excuse the impact. Your pain is real. Your wounds are real. But understanding this changes something important. It means the pattern can stop with you, in your generation, not by confronting them, not by waiting for an apology that may never come, but by doing the slow, difficult, deeply worthwhile work of understanding yourself so that you stop unconsciously repeating what was done to you. If you recognized yourself in any of these signs, I want you to hear this clearly. There was nothing wrong with you. You were a child who adapted brilliantly to an environment that asked too much of you. Your sensitivity was not a weakness. It was survival intelligence. And the fact that you're here watching this, trying to understand yourself, that already means something is shifting. The patterns your parents carried don't have to be yours. Healing doesn't mean your childhood suddenly becomes okay. It means you stop letting it write your future.